Hey, gang. Oh, I just, yeah, it's Monday. And there are a lot of stupid people in the world. Have you learned that yet? So today, we have asshats running wild. 99.1 WDJY. Let us know if they're running wild in Atlanta because they're running wild on Facebook. Today's feature conversation till Jane joins us at noon. We answer the question, you put this on Facebook and other places probably. Pierre's Pot. We thank those stupid enough to put various things on Facebook because it keeps us with a job on the slow days. Not that today is a slow day. And that's actually what this guy's talking about is today's news, ironically enough and thankful enough. Matt's checking in here. Hold on 1 second. So 11:04. It's Monday. 8:04 on the East Coast, or excuse me, West Coast. Although we don't have KSHP today. Anyway, yeah, it's we're supposed to also be on America One Radio according to their schedule, according to my schedule. But some other show just started, so I got to deal with that now. But we're also all over social media. We're actually going to be cutting back on some of that only because there's so many obscure things that I try to develop a platform or a presence on, and it's just not. There's just nobody there. Kind of like Twitter's becoming. So, first up, my eyes are watering again. I hate that. Morning motivation comes from John Kennedy. Oh, I didn't share the screen yet. Hold on 1 second, gang. My mom bitched at me over the weekend. You always sound like you're so disorganized. Yeah, it's because it's just me. There we go. I'm trying to make this so that it's this the different slides that I use for this. Like this one's more in portrait. So, I mean, there we go. I could do it like that. Yeah. If not us, who? If not now, when? Words from John Kennedy. Judging by the picture, wasn't too terribly long later when he had knocked off. But exactly. And I think of so many people who are basically Putin's bitch. Chad McCall, you listening yet? And so many others that, now that I'm in portrait, I got to adjust a little bit here. And so many others that Marjorie Taylor Greene, our new pedophile in chief, Matt Gaetz. There was somebody put out an acronym for AG, and it was something like I don't know, but it was fitting. It was good, fitting for Gaetz, of course. So, yeah, if not us, who? If not now, when? Of course, you know that I'm referring to Ukraine. Now more than ever, we need to put the Ukrainian flag as our backdrop because finally, they've been given the authority to kick Russia's ass. And finally, we're going to see the quality of our mid-range weapons. I saw a feature on the weapons that they've been given by us that they are now permitted to use for longer distances. And I get it. Biden has given that authorization because he's got nothing to lose. And I agree. I think it should have been done sooner, a lot sooner, because if first of all, it would have kept North Korea out. Secondly, it would have shown what these things can do. I mean, these are leftovers from the Gulf War where they kicked ass. You can't tell me Russia has anything more advanced than that now, where they'd be using them, or something at least better than what they're doing. You know, Russia's getting their asses handed to them. If they didn't, if they were holding their own, if they were maintaining seized lands that are actually Ukrainian or their own that they've lost, they wouldn't need North Korea. What are they talking North Korea into joining this for? For what? And so I just think that it's past time. And if this would have happened sooner, then we would have seen these victories. We would have reestablished ourselves as a global powerhouse. Because clearly, through his 4 years, Trump lost us that. Which is fascinating to me. That asshats that are running wild today still support this guy. They're already having buyer's remorse. There's a bunch of people saying, well, what about this, this, and this? My child has special needs. Well, how do you expect those special needs to be handled when the Department of Education is no longer there? How do you expect your special needs child who has what we'll call a pre-existing condition, because that's what it is, to get health insurance, even with yours after you're dead and gone? And so many people think about things like capital gains or the price of milk or eggs when you're going to have to get his permission to go get that expensive price of milk and eggs, because it's been proven before he took office, because actual experts who are either bipartisan or impartial, the economists that reviewed Trump's various plans unanimously said this is going to raise inflation. The very thing that we're bitching about is going to get worse. And that's who you put in power. So to get back to power on a global level, the thing I'm grateful for is, I don't know, does he have a set of stones? Does he have an ego? Well, any decent president has both. And I've long since thought that Joe Biden impressed and did much more than I ever thought he was going to. And well done. I know Bible thumpers can't say that, because unless it's them, they don't know how. But I've not made it a secret. Joe Biden was not my 17th pick. when he was up on stage with 18 other candidates. Neither was Kamala Harris. But I forget the guy's name. But like this one comedian said, if it comes down to either of those two or Trump, I'll strip naked, crawl through rocks and broken glass just to vote against Trump. It's not that hard. And so when you think back on JFK and the statement that you see on your screen, for those on social audio or radio, if not us, who? If not now, when? That can be anything. Like this World War III that everybody thinks is coming. It's here. And that is the stupidity that is the MAGA right. And again, I'm not saying the right as a general term or geopolitical demographic. Conservatism, for whatever reason, associates with faith and religion. I've been to church with more Democratic presidents than I have been Republican presidents, and I protected every president as far back as Gerald Ford. Not all of them were in office at the time I protected them, of course. We're the only nation in the world that protects our former heads of state and former heads of government. The only one I did not protect was Reagan Sr., and that's because he was already in a state of immobility by the time I became an agent. I was assigned to Nancy on a temporary. None of these were my permanent detail. The Clintons were my permanent detail. And then the Obamas, while they were in the White House and I was in Washington field office, was another sitting president that I was with frequently. But answer that question. Right there it is on the screen. If we don't help Ukraine defeat a tyrannical, aggressive, illegitimate power, when the Soviet Union fell, they put together a constitutional government identical to ours, complete with election, all that. They were a carbon copy, thanks to Mikhail Gorbachev and Boris Yeltsin, the work of both of them, one after the other, of the United States. And now look. And we got a guy that you asshats just put back in power who's a carbon copy of Putin, a wannabe of Putin. He's done much of the same things to gain the additional powers that he shouldn't have. He's taken control of an entire political party. Look, when you call somebody a Republican, let's save that for people like Mitt Romney, Adam Kinzinger, Liz Cheney, Dick Cheney. People that still practice, believe, and value conservative ideologies. Not radical, not niche ideologies. The far right depth of Christianity is an extreme minority in this country. It's becoming a minority as a whole, one. And two, the uber far right people that you see with a microphone in front of their face, present company excluded, are not the majority of everyday good Christians. So I go back to that. If not us, who? Who's going to stick up for Ukraine? Who is going to stick up for the people of Syria? Who is going to stick up for the people of Palestine as they're being ruled just like the people of Russia are, and like the people of Ukraine are trying not to be, as the people of Palestine are being ruled by an autocratic, tyrannical regime? Who's going to stick up for the Israelis, strong though they may be or limited in number, when that same regime attacks them? Who's going to stick up for the people of Palestine when the Israelis go a little crazy, which has happened? They didn't have the right to take things to the degree to which they did. The end. And if it is somebody else, when do they do it? Because it's past time for all of them. We're all late, us included. And if you can't see that diplomacy hasn't worked, that geopolitical chess hasn't and is not working, that it's past time for President Biden to authorize long distance use, then keep your eyes closed, but shut your mouth. Because you've got no clue. Maybe it's the big brother in me. Maybe it's the retired Secret Service agent coming back to duty. Maybe it's common sense. This is something that's, some days it's gotten me in trouble. But it's something I've always been proud of, and something that, at minimum, has always maintained a level of respect in me by others. And that is, you do not fight the fights that you can win. You don't pick and choose your battles. You fight the fights that need to be fought. Donald Trump can't do that. So when you say that Joe Biden is leading us into World War III, open your eyes. It's been here. Before Joe Biden, before Donald Trump. This just doesn't happen on a whim. Hitler didn't wake up one day and say, you know what? I think Poland belongs to me. Japan didn't wake up and say, China looks pretty good today. I'm thinking about something tropical in the South Pacific. And Emperor Hirohito, off he goes. And Italy sure as hell did not think Africa was appetizing. There was a plan. There still is a plan. And I think that's what Trump might be a part of, is the Fourth Reich. We were talking about this over the weekend, how I wonder, or how his supporters legitimately sit there and question why actual intelligent people like me and the rest of the world refer to him as another Hitler or compare him to Hitler. Oh, how can you do that? Hitler killed 6 million Jews. Well, actually, it's 7. That was actually a reply that I saw somewhere. Hitler killed 7, I'll correct it. Hitler killed 7 million Jews. Yes, he did. But not right away. Donald Trump already killed 1 million Americans. Let's call it what it is. He treats COVID differently. He treats COVID seriously. He takes, and whether you like them or not, they're experts. He takes at least some of the advice of actual medical experts. And COVID's capped off a lot sooner. He was originally told to lock down the country right away. He locks down the country before it spreads to the degree that it did. He locks down the country before it spreads to that degree, before more than 1 million people die. What effect could that have had? We know in areas that were locked down, contrary to what Ron DeSantis says, the spread was controlled much more aggressively than in areas like free Florida. Miami was ground zero. Little known secret about that. Miami was ground zero, not New York. And all we had to do was take those actual scientists, not people who stand on the White House lawn, the South Lawn, and say, I know more than all the Joint Chiefs, trust me. I almost ripped the cable out of the wall. You know more than the Joint Chiefs of Staff? What was that next meeting like? When you had to face them, having made that asinine statement. But Joe Biden's the one that's bringing us to World War III. They told you, Donnie, not to leave Syria. Unanimously, all of them told you not to leave Syria. You would destabilize the region. But you left. You pulled out for the first time in a while. Now, there's the concern that you might turn it over to your boy in Ukraine. So Joe Biden's doing the preemptive FU and forcing you to deal with an aggressive situation. We didn't have to go boots on the ground like we probably already are. One of my best friends was a Marine right out of high school and then went to college. Yeah. And he was in NBC, which stands for Nuclear, Biological, and Chemical, Enforced Recon, which means he's the guy that goes in first, sends back reports. Scout. Those are two reasons why he was in Kuwait before anybody ever knew we were going to Kuwait. He told me he was home, received a call on a Friday night. No, Wednesday night. It was very short notice that he was supposed to report to wherever his Pennsylvania fort was, and that it was an immediate jump from there down to Paris Island, or the area of Paris Island. Not, he's out of training, but that's where he was going to ship out from. And by the end of the weekend, he was on his way to the Middle East. And he was, for those two reasons that I just mentioned, in Kuwait before anybody knew we were in Kuwait. So, if not us, who? We're the ones with the capability of making something like that happen and going unnoticed. And if not now, when? Well, anything a year ago, like I suggested, is just me sitting here talking. Can't go that far. Can't go back. But with the far right, the maggots, and I this was part of my post leading into my social media post that I shared. Say, hey, I'm going to be on the air soon. Come follow me. I just said that. I said, you know what? I got to make sure I'm on the air. I last week I contemplated, I'll put it up. I think I still got it here. Hold on. Yeah, there we go. I contemplated, am I going to continue into the second Trump administration like a Howard Stern or Fred Rogers? And I'm like, both of them are very much me. As I said last week, both of them are very much me. One's obviously a little bit more brash, abrasive, blunt than the other. But I think there's a need for both. Today it's Howard. And boy, is somebody going to get it. So yeah, it's us. It's now. You're going up the middle. 99.1 WDJY and the rest of the Mastiff Media Network. I don't know what ails America One Radio. We're supposed to be there 5 days a week too. And they got some douche from California on. So I don't know. But for whoever's here, we'll be back after this. Smell nasty. Do you want to freshen it up a little bit? Go to aromabypeter.com. Check out all of Peter's candles. It's what we burn here in Studio Yergs. I'm burning right now leather-scented candle. That's right, leather-scented. So go to aromabypeter.com/Yergs and check out his candles today.
I'm Jane Stahl, retired English teacher, and with my BFF, Susan Bebeck, we manage Studio B Fine Art Gallery in Boyertown, Pennsylvania. We showcase the art of hundreds of local artists, publish books of the poetry, prose, and art of local writers, offer classes, art parties, workshops, discussion groups, cater dinners. We've even hosted a wedding. And we're here to be the go-to place for friendship, learning, and fun in our community. Virtual tours of our exhibits are available right here on Yergs Radio. Let us introduce you to some amazing art and artists.
Check out Jane Stahl and everyone at Studio B in Boyertown, Pennsylvania. Please visit our YouTube channel, Talk TV 24. How's your website doing? I'll tell you how mine's doing. It's awesome. Yergs.com is got to be the best website for anybody in podcasting or any sort of broadcast solo journalist like me. How did I get that? Limit Break Digital. Limit Break Digital did my website with Yergs.com. They did YergerGroup.com. They take care of my marketing, my branding, and help me get the message out to you. Go to limitbreakdigital.com/Yergs for 10% off your next project. That's a $3,000 site, Yergs.com. And you can get 10% off that by just going to limitbreakdigital.com/Yergs today. Talk to Jay. That's my guy. We all got a guy, and Jay's mine. limitbreakdigital.com. Hey, again. All right. Let me get some background music here. You feeling the momentum? Do you need some momentum? Join me this afternoon. Actually, probably this evening. Momentum, Fitness and Wellness. Jasmine Estates, Bayonet Point. On US 19, just north of the U-Haul Center. Right before, Jasmine Boulevard. Right at the Arby's. US 19, Port Richey, Jasmine Estates, Bayonet Point, that area. You'll see it. You'll find it. I got the address somewhere. I don't know, probably use that. Well, you need the momentum. You need that, what is it, Hernando Beach Body is further up. Or the Clearwater Beach Body. You got to get that back. We'll get it at, as you build the momentum. You don't just get it overnight. You build momentum. You burn fat slowly, surely, steadily, continually, and then you've got it. You've built that momentum. You continue with that momentum, and you get that momentum. That Momentum Fitness and Wellness. All kinds of upgraded and new equipment, new space. It's bigger than what you may have seen last time you were there. They bought out the pet store next door, or the contractor, all renting from the shopping center, but they've got more space. They've got the cold plunge tank. They've got a sauna. They've got a dedicated stretching area now, inside and out with new space. There's CrossFit stuff all over the place, to include outside. There's an entire outdoor training center in addition to the gym inside. You know my thing. I got a guy. Anthony's my guy. Go talk to Anthony. Tell him I sent you. But you can also just go to the door. Use your camera. Click the QR code that's on the door. You're done. You're in. Build that momentum. Momentum, fitness, and wellness. So you put that on Facebook. You put that on Facebook. I love how social media in general has, I haven't been doing my other sound effects.
Wake up, goddammit!
There you go. Wake up. That's what I say to these people. Like our recipient of Pierre's Pot. That's what I say to these people who fancy themselves experts, I guess. I don't know. But they say, here's what happens. They get an idea. They get this idea, and it's their idea. So you know what that means. That means it's a good idea, or they wouldn't have gotten it. Their idea is awesome. That's why they're sharing it with you. Of course, they haven't thought it out at all. They haven't researched it at all. What do we teach here? Do your homework. My dad just said that to me on the way home from Pennsylvania over the weekend. Like, what do you think I say to 100,000 people a week? That varies day to day because we're not on as many stations right now as we were this past Friday, or will be this coming Friday. Quick shout out to KSHP, who finally joined us this past week. But then they put it on Facebook. And I promise you, having challenged him on it and called bullshit, because it's what it is. And you're going to see it. I'm going to call him out. The question that I shot out at the preemptive social media post, who am I going to be? How do I treat this? Is about to be answered. When I see this stupidity, I am going to call that person out by name. Photo, name, whole 9 yards. You're mine. I need a sip. I'm going to have a stroke. I know it. I'm going to have a stroke because of these idiots. Well, let me see if I can move that over a little. This one's going to have to be, there we go. That's better. You don't need to see me. So Chad McCall is our recipient of Pierre's Pot. I got to check my schedule here. When do we do that? Is it next? What's first? Yeah, we might as well kind of combine the two because it's all one big happy story. Pierre's Pot is in honor of Pierre Robert from 93.3 WMMR in Philadelphia, a radio DJ hero of mine. I've listened to this dude since I was, 81, since I was 10-ish, somewhere around there, since 81. That's where he's been since 1981, hasn't left. And as he would say, we toast the morning sauce today in the direction of a good citizen are honored. Well, hopefully he's a listener. He learned something. I told him in the post when I commented on it, he should listen to 11. Here we are. Chad McCall put the following post up however many hours ago. Well, as I did this, he was there for an hour. And, just his random thoughts, I suppose. But as Pierre would say, a toast of the morning sauce. We're cheersing Chad McCall for having the courage to put asshat statements like this on public platforms like social media. So I got something to talk about. The election is over. Why not have a few bills that create relief for the country? I don't know, like the Inflation Reduction Act? Maybe. Why not stop tax on tips now, for example? It's because nothing will be done to help since the notes didn't go to the way of the current admin. This is another thing. You should probably proofread something that you're sending to the world so you sound, I don't know, less like an asshat. Do you see why I use that word? The only real thing is to now allow Ukraine to use long-range missiles. No, I think there's other things he can do. We'll find that out. The only thing that will be done is to deepen a war possibility. This is right there. The only thing that will be done is to deepen our war possibility. This is why that is a stupid statement for two reasons. One, we're already in war. And we'll talk about that. We talked about that earlier. We'll talk about it again in a minute. Two, I forgot the other one. We're already in war. And it's not the only thing that's being done. You talk about our war possibility. Well, what degree do you want to be at war? Because if Ukraine starts to fall, at least the Biden administration would have had the balls to put boots on the ground and to stop Trump too, but to stop Putin where he needs to be stopped, at the Russian border, not the Crimean border, and send his vodka slurping ass back home with his tail tucked between his fat ass and his gut. The only thing that will be done is to deepen a war possibility. Just curious, the party of war and fighting will soon be out. Just curious, who was known as the world's police? Chad? It wasn't the Carter administration. It wasn't the Clinton administration. Long before Clinton. Just need to hold on for a few months. This is the ignorance that I'm talking about. For a few months. What is the sun just going to start shining on January 20th? Well, it did in 2021. And that's another thing. Do you idiots forget that your boy already had a chance to do all these wonderful things he said he was going to do then too? I'm going to build a wall. It's going to be great. I'm going to build a great wall. It's going to be a great wall the whole length of the entire Mexican border. Because, by the way, this is not a racial issue. Even though it's only going to be on the Mexican border, which it's not. I think it's like roughly 450 miles of a 1,954-mile border. He's not even 25% of the way there. And it fell over, by the way, in case that was part of history was forgotten. And because this isn't a racial thing, then we're going to also put that same wall across the entire 5,000-mile border with Canada. Because as we see on a daily basis, there is this constant influx of arrests on suspicion of being Canadian. Maybe you can sense the sarcasm. So Chad just thinks that we're just going to create a few bills or create. The Republican House hasn't done shit in 2 years. They can't even find a good leader, let alone keep them. And you want to create all kinds of bills that you know damn well the current administration ain't going to sign, and the Senate probably ain't going to sign. So all you have to do is hold on for a few more months. For what? The Senate already said they're going into a recess, so Trump can make appointments that don't have to be confirmed. You're okay with that? You know the whole system of checks and balances? You know that we the people you keep spitting out? You know there's more words to it than that, right? There's this thing where one division oversees another division. And when that other division is starting to screw around, like appoint acting secretaries, like he did, I don't know, the first time, you're okay with that? You're okay with having a guy that runs around Capitol Hill, taking his phone, showing it to other members of Congress, saying, this is the underage girl I porked last night? Being the attorney general? Or some guy who's got nothing more than a TV show like this, being the Secretary of State? I just showed more intelligence. In the past 5 minutes, I can be Secretary of State. Or actually, no, Secretary of Defense. Secretary of State, don't get me started there. Mr. Popularity from Florida, Dumbo. It was an ears joke in case you don't know who Marco Rubio is. Maybe he, out of all of them, is actually at least partially qualified. But that people aren't up in arms about a Syrian sympathizer and a Russian agent being the director of national intelligence? Tulsi Gabbard. I don't think she's going to get a security clearance, frankly. But if you remember Jared Kushner, you know that's not a problem for the Trump administration. Back to Chad and company. Derek Cornelison, or whatever his last name is, says this fool is trying to get us all in our war. Our war. I don't know what that means. But he's probably referring to Biden. I mean, maybe if you people went to school and learned about our own history and how France saved our ass from the British, we would not have French Canadians in hockey and Louisiana if it wouldn't have been for the French. We'd all be sniffing the Queen's ass, or now the King's ass, and drinking tea. Sometimes you got to step up. Leaders don't care who follow. That's why they don't look back. But when you're nothing more than a loudmouth, like Chad maybe, or Trump, or anybody that follows Trump, what can you expect? So earlier this weekend, he also made the really intelligent statement to cancel Netflix. Why? Because they ventured out into something that they don't do on a normal basis and it didn't go well? That's why you cancel Netflix? Maybe cancel them because they still do DVDs. Or because you haven't been using it. Or because the only reason you signed up for it was for a boxing match that you knew was going to suck in the first place. Like a 27-year-old versus a 58-year-old. How do you think that's going to end? How exciting do you think that's going to be? The guy's 58 years old and looks better than your fat ass. But the kid that he's going up with, against, literally less than half his age. You think that's going to be exciting? What good is going to come from that? No, I didn't watch that fight. When all I needed to know, I got from Google. Like a day and a half later, I still didn't know who won. I saw a video clip of the bell, or actually of the golf cart ride to the locker room. It looked like the Pope Mobile. He's sitting in this golf cart that this guy's driving him, and his security is standing up on the cart, like on each fender, like it's the presidential limo. And these guys in suits and earpieces are riding along with Mike Tyson, who probably doesn't need a single one of them. I mean, really, you're going to attack Mike Tyson in a dark hallway? Really? Are you sure? Okay. Let me know so I can put a camera there because I want to see that. Oh. So now we're canceling Netflix. I'll tell you what I did cancel. I didn't cancel outright, but I did not renew my little blue checkmark thingy from Twitter. And I've never called it X. If I've ever called that platform X, it was a mistake. And I corrected myself immediately and called it what it is, Twitter. Because why? Why bow down? This is what happens when you give in to a bully like Elon Musk. Trying to make this a little. When you give in to a bully like Elon Musk, they enjoy that. But when you stand up to them, they don't know what to do. The city of San Francisco stood up to him. They said, take that big ugly X down. And he did. Because frankly, I don't think he was expecting to get a reaction from code inspectors and whoever else spanked him. But stand up to him. So I've never called it Twitter. I don't call it Twitter. I didn't cancel all of my accounts. I didn't delete my accounts, but I didn't renew. And this show was not on Twitter anymore for that reason. There's plenty of other places. We've got our own player that you can get on mastiff.media, on yergs.com. What we're going to do at the end of this month, we're cutting back on our Restream account as well. And we're going back down to only 8 destinations. So what we're going to do is put the player that goes live every time we go live on our various pages. Yergs Radio, Mastiff Media, Yerger Group, up the middle, this one, that one, and whichever. And all I'm going to do is send an alert. Hey, go to this page, Yerg's Radio, up the middle, whatever, and watch the player that's pinned to the top of the page, or click on it and watch today's show. Or if you want to listen, because you're in the car or wherever, go to yergsradio.com. Problem solved. I'm saving $50 a month. And I didn't need to have 15 destinations when I don't think there's 15 destinations that really are going to be a realistic destination for this yet. So I didn't renew Twitter. I wasn't renewing it anyway, regardless of any financial cutbacks or anything. I'm just so over Elon Musk. He was so much better. I liked him so much more when he was commenting on Bitcoin, and he helped make me enough money to help buy this house. Go back to doing something useful. He did not do the technology that made Tesla popular. Scientists did. He did not do the rockets that made SpaceX what it is today. Scientists did. He is not them. And you say, well, you know what? Steve Jobs was the same way. Yeah, correct. Steve Jobs was also a leader. He was a ball buster, but he also saw personal faults that, thank God, he at least made an effort to correct and right before he died. This dude's got no clue. Where are we at? 11:54. We're going to be losing 90. Oh, no, we're not. WDJY stays with us today. That's right. It's Monday. Jane should be checking in real soon. Let's take a commercial break here quick. I'm going to reach out to Jane, see where she's at. She might be trying to get I've limited the number of links so that there's been such confusion. We're going to have one link. Anybody that's joining the show uses this one link. And if some knucklehead joins us when they shouldn't be, well, we just won't let them on. 99.1 WDJY and the rest of them. And I don't know where America One Radio is today, but the rest of the Massive Media Network, Yerg's Radio, Rainbow Radio, and everybody. We'll be back right after this. Do you have a podcast? Of course you do. It's probably one of the reasons why you listen to us. Well, I got something for you. Flowsend.ai. All you do is take your pre-recorded data, click, drag, and drop right into the inbox for Flowsend AI. Click a button, and out comes everything that you're going to need. From the transcript to content, such as keywords, titles for your episode, the timeline, posts for LinkedIn, posts for Twitter, Instagram, other smaller platforms, all the things that it takes you hours to do in literally minutes. So go to flowsend.ai. Tell them Yerg sent you and get your subscription today. Worth every penny. Flowsend.ai. Well, here I am sending Jane a link, an email, and apparently she guessed right because she's waiting backstage. It's time for that time of day every Monday where we put up whatever's on our mind, and I'm joined by my lunch date from this past weekend, Jane Stahl. Hello there.
Hey, how are you? How was
I
your
was-
flight? How was
That was
Shady?
all good. Yeah. got
Everything's
back-
good?
Yep. Got back with not too many pea spots throughout the house. But yeah, I was just sending you an email with the link for today that you obviously used anyway.
Well, I found an old one,
Well, it
and
worked.
I quickly signed on. But you know what? I'm hoping. Well, I'm going to run downstairs in
Okay.
about 5 minutes because
Okay.
I need to put a banana bread in the
Oh,
oven. And
nice.
I'm bragging. I'm bragging. It's my 7th loaf since Sunday morning. Yes,
Wow.
I know. I made 3 yesterday, and then I ran out of cooking oil. So I had to go to the store, and by the time I got back from the studio and back from the store, I was exhausted.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
Is
this morning I started again and made 4 more loaves, so a total of 7 in a
wow.
little over 24 hours. Yes, I'm bragging. I'm sorry. Yes.
That's all right. What inspired Jane's Bakery to come about this
Well,
week?
Leslie has Sean, Leslie's son, make sure she has plenty of bananas, and she can't always eat all the bananas. And so their custom was to throw them away. I said, please don't do that. Save them for me. I'll put them in the freezer and I'll make banana bread. Well, she had so many bananas over the past month or so, a couple of weeks or so. I decided that, okay, I'm going to make Christmas presents for everybody. So everybody's
Nice.
getting banana bread for Christmas.
Nice.
Or maybe
Yeah, my
Thanksgiving.
mom has frozen bananas too.
What was that?
My mom freezes bananas too, I guess for the same thing.
Yeah, yeah, I can remember back in the day. This is a funny story. I learned that from my mother that you could freeze bananas and then use them later for banana cake or banana bread. And when Paul first saw the bananas that came out of the freezer as my mother was preparing, I mean, they're all brown
Yeah.
and they're all,
Yeah.
there's leaking
Right.
banana juice. And he said,
Right.
you're not going to use those, are you? And she said, well, of course they make great cakes and great loaves. And he pulled out his wallet and he said, I tell you what, I'm going to pay for those bananas if you will throw them away. Of course she refused and made cakes out of them, and he of course became a believer. But it was
Yeah.
I thought it was a funny story back in the day.
Yeah. You oftentimes don't want to see the so-called fresh
Yes,
ingredients of your favorite, what
exactly,
snacks or
exactly.
whatever.
But Leslie suggested I try some bartering, that I go back to Aunt Nanny's bake shop where I get, the best sticky buns with raisins and walnuts, okay? And where I
Right.
pick up a shoe fly pie for Paul, which he thinks is just the best shoe fly pies ever made. Anyway, Leslie suggested I take some of my banana breads back and exchange them for sticky buns and shoe fly pie. Anyway, we
Can they
took
take
Paul
that?
and I. Paul, huh? No, 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 no.
You think they can
It
take
has
that?
to be from a commercial kitchen and sanitized and
Yeah.
all those health inspection
Right.
things. But I thought it was a cute idea. She figured it was better than cryptocurrency. That
Well, could
bartering
be.
issue was better than that. Anyway,
Maybe not right
did
now.
I tell you that we took these sticky buns that I love and the shoe fly pie? We took examples of those up to Massachusetts when we went up to visit cousin Sharon on election day.
No.
They travel.
When are you making all these sticky buns or you bought the sticky buns?
I bought the sticky bun. Yeah, I bought the sticky bun and the shoe fly
Okay.
pie from Aunt Nanny's bake shop. So
Okay.
anyway, Leslie thought
Okay.
I could barter my banana breads for a sticky bun or a shoe fly pie. So anyway,
Yeah. Well,
that's my
that's
story. That's
sensible.
my story for today. That's my story for today. But I'm glad you survived. You were here such a short time.
Yeah,
You know,
I'm thinking about trying to plan a good number additional days for Christmas. Yeah, if I can be convinced the kid's gonna take care of the dogs, and he did fine. So
Okay.
I'll get a couple additional days when I'm up there for Christmas.
Yeah. And next time lunch is my treat. I don't like that you picked up my tab. So
Oh no, it's my pleasure. I'm glad that you join every week, and yeah, it's
anyway,
definitely, like we said a long time ago, this has been very therapeutic, us sitting and talking weekly.
yeah.
And been. Are we at our 5-minute mark? Do you need to run downstairs?
No, we have a few more minutes. We have a
Okay.
few more minutes.
All
I
right.
figure I will go down at 12:10. Okay.
Okay.
And I'll slip my oven's all ready, and I just have to slip it in and bake it for 45 or so minutes, and that'll be the end of the show. So
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I was thinking. Yeah, if that was the right amount of time, good
Yep.
deal.
Yep.
So I don't know if you caught any in your running around earlier this morning. I was not exactly Mr. Rogers in the first hour.
Ooh, I did not. I should have. I was baking. I should have
Yeah.
listened to you, but I did
Yeah.
not.
So
I did
I've
not. So
decided.
tell me what you did. I saw the promo. Maybe we should do something different with these knuckleheads or something like that. I forget how you
Yeah.
phrased it.
Well, yeah. So for the most part, during this whole campaign, I tried to be civil. I tried to be, and I'm not saying that I always was. That was not the case. But I tried.
Okay. Intention counts.
David's right. There's no talking sense to these people.
No. And I'm just going to insert this right here. Paul's been complaining forever that Democrats are wimps, that we don't fight back. And my argument has been, okay, so you want us to become the same kind of bullies that the other team seems to adopt as their strategy. I can't see how that isn't hypocritical, but still, he has a point.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
go for it. Tell me
Well,
how you were not Mr. Rogers. What happened? Describe.
as you know, I'm all about doing your homework.
Yes.
I'm all about staying in your lane. Like you personally, I hear you bring a personal opinion. And you bring, like, if we talk about things like common sense, you've got how many years of teaching that have perhaps helped you develop a certain level of common sense?
I would hope so.
You don't claim to be an expert
No.
in geopolitics or international politics.
Right.
You have an opinion as a voter.
Yeah.
But where your expertise is when you say something like there's no talking to these people. As a teacher, you've tried that for a really long time.
Yes.
And you know people that can be talked to and people who can't.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with continuing to talk to them, but you can't have the expectation that it's going to make a difference. And if it is so stressful, let's just say, frustrating, annoying, whatever, if it's too much for us, for our own emotional well-being, then maybe we should quit trying to talk to them. But there's nothing wrong with continuing to talk. There's nothing wrong with continuing to try. But the expectation that you're going to make a difference maybe has to be set aside.
Right.
My mantra, and I'm sure I mentioned this many times in our dialogues together. My mantra in teaching was you do the best you can and then wait the result in peace. And that has been a mantra for me for every single thing that I do. I'm not always, like you said, I'm not always 100% about it. I get frustrated, I get sad, I get angry, I get all those kinds of things. But when I'm on my game, I do the best that I know how to do and then slip into serenity.
Yeah.
You put something up on the screen. Election is over.
This was a Facebook post that I was that I encountered earlier this morning.
Okay.
And this is what I'm talking about. This guy's a real estate guy. And I'm now, one of the things I decided in my angry side is that I'm calling these people out by name and face.
Okay.
Here's the guy and the stupid shit he says. No, we're not supposed to say that on the radio, but I can't. And
Wow.
people say Biden is taking us into World War
World War
III.
Three. Yep.
What are you looking at?
Mhm.
You don't think the world is at World War III now? Just because some news anchor hasn't called it that yet? Who do you think Israel is fighting against? It's not just a bunch of ragheads that hide in a mountain.
Mhm.
There's organization behind that, and they don't like you. There's organization behind the attack in the Ukraine, and they don't like you.
Mhm. They want
There's an
to
alliance with those
exterminate.
people. Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, are you not seeing any correlation to 70 years ago?
Hmm.
And these people think that because we're not involved in it yet, it's not World War III.
You
I'm
know,
like, how arrogant are you?
I never termed it that. I never termed it that. You're right. You're right.
And
Just because we're not in it does not mean that it's not already begun.
that it's not there.
I mean, now North Korea is
Yeah.
involved. Of course, Iran.
And you don't think China's in a back door somewhere? Not in a back
Exactly.
door.
Yeah.
Who's tied to both Iran and Russia?
Mhm.
We're not going to be the joining link. It's already joined. Just like up to this current election. We've been in a civil war. It just doesn't have cannons anymore.
Wow. Now listen,
It has computers.
it's so true. So true.
And this time, the North lost.
Wow. Now that is a perspective that's worth articulating. That is a perspective that is worth articulating.
And
In
maybe
case people just see this as a difference of opinion where we can agree to disagree. It's more than that.
maybe this election wasn't the surrender at Appomattox Courthouse. Maybe this was just first or second Bull Run. And we still need Gettysburg, the turning point.
Yikes.
And maybe we'll still need a Pearl Harbor.
Yikes.
I mean, look at what Russia tried to do. They tried to put explosives on cargo flights that were headed to the US that got stopped in Europe. How is that not the modern day Pearl Harbor?
Yeah, it is. It is. So you articulated this vision this morning in stern words.
I've
Is
been
that what you're
saying.
telling me?
I Matt and Blake gang up on me every Friday about this issue. And I say, guys, just because there's not a blue and a gray doesn't mean we're not already at civil war. This is the modern civil war in a first world country. It's not army versus army. It is more civilian, and it is more technologically based, and it is more modern. I mean, how can you sit back and look at this particular, the past really 3 presidential elections? I mean, that's what a presidential election is. It is a design to peacefully change power, to have the peaceful change of power through the election and at the inauguration. And so we have a civil war every 4 years. But at the end of that year party, the election season, you go back to being a country. We haven't done that, I don't think, since the early part of the Bush administration. We've become progressively more divisive. I thought, and I said this when Obama ran and won, I thought that with the way Bush split the country, I mean, whoever thought Dick Cheney would come back and be a good guy?
Yeah.
But after Bush was out, first, I don't know, a year or two into the Obama administration, I saw a T-shirt, and it was a drawing of George W. snickering, and the caption read, "Miss me, don't you?"
Ooh.
And in that
Ooh.
moment, I'm like, no, actually, no. Now we do. And ironically, it was another Republican that caused those nostalgic feelings.
How about that?
But even just the very fact that, and this was a good thing, I think, or could have been, just the very fact that he was not a career politician and came in and beat the status quo, beat somebody like Hillary Clinton. There's two entertainment venues or whatever. I don't know how to describe them, but two shows that I think are prophetic. One is Saturday Night Live. Their political commentary is about as blatantly honest as it gets.
Yes.
You know, and they did the bit with Hillary getting all these tough questions. She nails them, and she gets an even tougher follow-up question. And Barack Obama gets an easy question, screws it up, and gets an applause. That's what was happening in the debates. And when they have, I think it was first Amy Poehler, and then I forget.
Tina Fey.
No, the first Hillary Clinton was Amy Poehler. And then the second one was, I can't think of her name. It'll come to me. But when they do a tantrum about how the White House is mine, who else did you see winning in 2016? Realistically. And then the other one, that where these people get their info, I have no idea. Have you ever heard about the legend from The Simpsons?
No.
Oh, it's 12:15. You got to go downstairs. You got to go downstairs.
What?
It's 12:15.
Oh, yes. I wasn't ready for you to stop, but if you're willing,
Yeah, that's
let
all
me
right.
go do my cake. Do something. Talk.
I'll ramble. We'll go have a
right.
commercial quick, and then
I'll be right back.
Yeah, I'll see you in a minute. Take your time. I got to rambling, everybody. So yeah, 99.1 WDJY. We'll be back with my Civil War, World War, futuristic prophecies after this. Smell nasty? Do you want to freshen it up a little bit? Go to aromabypeter.com. Check out all of Peter's candles. It's what we burn here in Studio Yergs. I'm burning right now leather scented candle. That's right, leather scented. So go to aromabypeter.com/Yergs and check out his candles today.
I'm Jane Stahl, retired English teacher, and with my BFF, Susan Bebeck, we manage Studio B Fine Art Gallery in Boyertown, Pennsylvania. We showcase the art of hundreds of local artists, publish books of the poetry, prose, and art of local writers, offer classes, art parties, workshops, discussion groups, cater dinners. We've even hosted a wedding. And we're here to be the go-to place for friendship, learning, and fun in our community. Virtual tours of our exhibits are available right here on Yergs Radio. Let us introduce you to some amazing art and artists.
Check out Jane Stahl and everyone at Studio B in Boyertown, Pennsylvania. Please visit our YouTube channel, Talk TV 24. How's your website doing? I'll tell you how mine's doing. It's awesome. Yergs.com is gotta be the best website for anybody in podcasting or any sort of broadcast solo journalist like me. How did I get that? Limit Break Digital. Limit Break Digital did my website with Yergs.com. They did YergerGroup.com. They take care of my marketing, my branding, and help me get the message out to you. Go to limitbreakdigital.com/Yergs for 10% off your next project. That's a $3,000 site, Yergs.com. And you can get 10% off that by just going to limitbreakdigital.com/Yergs today. Talk to Jay. That's my guy. We all got a guy, and Jay's mine. Limitbreakdigital.com.
Welcome back.
We're back.
I am back.
So, did you hear your commercial?
I did.
You're still in the
Yes.
Studio B stuff. I like that.
Yes. I appreciate the attention.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely. So, I mean, these are guys, Blake and Matt.
Okay.
I mean, Matt ran for Congress. You know, Blake is from a political family.
Okay.
They should be able to see stuff like this. And I'm not saying, you know, this is one of the arguments I made about people like Chad McCall posting stupid crap on Facebook. Just because this is my idea doesn't make it a good one. And I think that's a pitfall so many people fall into when they post something stupid on Facebook.
Mm.
Oh, I'm going to post this on Facebook and I'm going to get a lot of likes and it's going to make me smart. Until it doesn't. But just look at it. And I know I said the same thing about the 2024 election too, and look how that turned out.
Yeah.
But just look at it. Look how divisive we are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, neighbors, family. I still have two cousins, brother and sister, who have not talked to each other in more than a year and a half.
Wow.
It'll be 2 years in April.
Well, there's so much about the politics, shall we say, that is about morality. I
Yeah.
mean, it's about the people that you put in power, the people that you want to be in power and in charge of different things, and their decisions, their behavior while in office. I mean, it's not just anymore a difference of opinion where we can agree to disagree.
Yeah.
It's about, it's about right and wrong.
Yeah.
And
And you know what? I'm wondering, that's not a bad idea. Or that's a good point you're making. I think I might have a pretty good idea. Is anytime that I'm sitting on wherever, I won't say on the toilet, but you know where I mean, anywhere. And I'm just going through Facebook or I'm going through anything.
mm-hmm.
That was one of the things that came up. It is how most of you think you won. Most of you who think you won are about to realize that within the next 4 years, we're all going to lose.
Yeah.
Just different comments like that.
Yeah.
I've had a few. This is good. This is a cartoon, like a political cartoon, Doonesbury or whatever. Okay, not Doonesbury, but he's the racist guy, right? Went on that
Right.
rant or whatever. I've had a few days to calm down and process things, and I've come to the realization that I was wrong to have my faith in humanity.
Ooh.
Had my faith. You're thinking that she's going to say Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Or, but it's just, humanity.
Hmm. Well,
There's another one. Elon Musk and JD Vance are sitting in the front seat of a Tesla. Trump's in the back seat with a toy steering wheel, and they go, "Oh, it's cute. He thinks he's steering."
that is true. Yeah. Yeah. But it's the loss of faith in humanity. Absolutely. There it is. There it is. There's so much, you know, feeling justified about being racist, feeling justified to be misogynistic, feeling, well, if the president is this way and his staff is this way, it's okay for me to be biased,
Yeah.
racist, misogynistic, all those sexist, all those kinds of things. And that's the sad part of the whole thing, that people now feel justified
Yeah,
to
that's what it's come
behave,
down to.
to be on their worst behavior. To
Yeah.
be on their worst behavior, they feel that it's okay because, the powers that be are exactly that. So, and
Yeah.
sadly, what's going to happen, one of the things that came across my desk, my Facebook page probably, was something about, well, oh yeah, I told you about it when we were together. One of our mutual friends said, what's going to happen soon is people who have children with disabilities are going to realize, when they get rid of the Department of Education and the money to help the adaptations for children with disabilities is no longer there because the money came from the Department of Education, they're going to be up in arms about, but what my child needs, and there is, I'm not getting funding. And those of us who did not vote for the current administration, or the upcoming administration, are going to say, well, that's what you chose. That's what you vote for. That's what you voted for. And then we are going to be accused of being hard-hearted. How can you
Yeah.
not, and that's going to
And then,
happen.
what?
That is going to
I've already
happen.
got that one. I can't wait for that. I can't wait for that. I want them to accuse me
No,
of being
it's
hard-hearted, because you know what I'm going to say? You know what I'm going to
what?
say?
What?
What's the matter? Are you a snowflake?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's the
Yeah.
other thing we're called when we
But they're
bitch about
not
something.
going they're not going to get it. They're not going to see it. That's I mean, that prophesying, they're not going to get it. They're going to find somebody else to blame, that, well, it's all because of such and so, and not because of our guy. So that's kind of sad.
Yeah.
More
Yeah.
than sad.
But
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
sitting here
Yeah.
feeling up jittery also as you were giving that example, because special needs and the Department of Education is exactly what I talked about in hour number 1 today. I mean, there you go. That's how obvious it is.
Yep.
You and I didn't talk about this.
Go ahead.
We didn't have show notes, or a conversation off camera before coming on today. And you pick up the exact same example I did.
Yeah, well, it's really, it's not me. I'm not that clever, but because I did not know that the funding came from the Department of Education. I mean, I don't do my
That's
research,
okay.
so I don't know that. But
I was going to say, what did you do? Some homework? No.
yes, just a little bit, not much. Anyway, yeah, so it's just the common example. So I've heard it from more than one person and went into the research myself, and yes, before I started sharing it, decided it had to be true. But so
Well, the other one that I think is going to come and rear its ugly head sooner rather than later are his economic plans
what, the tariffs and stuff?
and stuff. Yeah. I mean, economics or economists are overwhelmingly saying everything he's talking about doing is going to
Mhm.
skyrocket inflation.
Hmm. Yes, I have heard that many times.
Why would you not listen to those people? Why would you not at least consider what they're saying?
Hmm.
They don't care about some deep state. It's another Facebook thing I stole. It says there's no such thing as a deep state. You're just deeply stupid.
Right. Right.
And I get it. Yeah. Are we lowering ourselves to their level by name calling?
Yes, we are. I'm not
But
comfortable
if
with
that's
that.
all they understand,
I know, and that's why we're wimps. That's why I'm a wimp. Yes.
what do you
Yes.
do?
I don't
How
know.
do you talk to these people?
You don't. Paul says, as I told you, I think the other day, his thing is, well, sometimes parents have to let the kids touch the stove. They have to get
Yeah.
burned in order
But
to.
that's like that one statement that we just shared.
Hmm.
We're all touching the stove together.
Hmm. Yeah. We're all going to suffer. Yep. But we're doing quite a bit of fear mongering here.
Yeah.
So, is there what do you do? Okay, so let's just change things up a bit. One of the things that I challenged you on the other day when we were together is to create your Thanksgiving essay for the
Yep.
Boyertown area expression. So, have you given any thought while you were traveling about what approach you might take, what
I
angle you might
did.
offer?
I'm going to kind of change direction of what I do here to make it expression friendly.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Instead of having a
Rant.
well, that was a quick stop at the mailbox, so clearly I didn't get a check today either.
Oh dear.
The mailman just drove by. So to keep it Boyertown expression friendly,
Hmm.
and keep politics out of it,
Okay.
I'll say that I have a radio show that's very comical, which we often try to be. And like all of the late night talk show hosts, I am thankful for the stupid people that support Donald Trump because I will have a very easy job for the next 4 years.
Hmm. Yes, you will.
And I know I brought
A li-
politics into it a little bit,
Yes, you did.
so you'll have to censor that if necessary to keep it
Well,
to meet your counterpart's approval.
yeah. And she's more sensitive about this than I am sometimes, I guess, because you and I talk every week. But yeah, so you are thankful that you have a voice to express your opinions. You are thankful for the opportunity for as long as it lasts, okay? To be
But
able to
also
say,
but also for those that are supplying me with subject matter.
well, yes, there's that
Like
too.
George Carlin said, never underestimate the power of stupid people in large groups.
Oh, yeah. And it only takes one. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. 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 Groupthink. So, anyway, what's the rest of your message today?
So it was what was what did I title today's episode? Something about asshats that I had to use the dollar signs for instead of letter S.
Mm-hmm.
Asshats running wild. And I talked about, Chad and so on.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe it's Florida. I look at the news and I just see so many asshats.
Mm-hmm. Well, your state is full of them. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Some 41-year-old guy just killed himself on a motorcycle in a one-car accident. Wasn't hit by anybody else. Nothing like that. Another lady is in an open relationship. The other woman came to the door all pissed off. She blindly shoots through the door and hits the lady in the neck and is wondering why she's the one getting arrested.
No.
I
makes you want to stay home, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, who was it? Mark Twain? The more I'm going to paraphrase here, but you're going to get the idea. You're shaking your head already. You know what I'm going to say.
Yeah, I do.
The more I go out and interact with other people, the more I like my dog.
Yep. That's about it. Yep.
Um, and I actually, it's funny we talk about that because I take this medication to help me sleep.
Okay.
It's actually, yeah, actually a lot of people are going to start calling me finally. We're going to be able to, I'll put our phone number up so they can. Um, 1-888 Yergs. I'll show you how you can get it legally. Are you ready? I take to sleep ketamine.
Ketamine.
Do you know what that
Okay.
is?
Yes, I do.
The party scene calls that Special K.
Mm-hmm. I am
When you
aware.
take it in large doses, it's hallucinogenic.
Yes, I am aware.
And then you fall into what's called a K hole, which is some deep sleep, oftentimes for more than a day.
Ooh.
Well, when you what's called microdose under the direction of a doctor, it helps you sleep normally, soundly, and very restfully. The problem is when a certain little wet tongue licks my face in the middle of the night, I can't get back to sleep because I've had
Wow.
that restful sleep already,
Yeah.
and I might as well just get up. Well, we talked about a second ago, we talked about liking our dogs, and you've got Jeff's puppy, and I got these two. After I took her out, came back in to all of us try to go back to sleep, they're curled up in a very similar position right now. They were curled up in the middle of the bed, so I had nowhere to sleep. I didn't even get just the edge of the bed like I usually do every night. I actually slept horizontally across the bottom of the bed and was clowning around on my phone for about an hour until I finally did fall asleep, and they shuffled a little bit and gave me at least the edge again. But I got this picture of them curled up together, right, smack in the middle of the pillows.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, I can sit and watch these two all night.
Mm-hmm. Nothing like a dog.
Yeah, and they're good
And
kids.
yeah.
Have you babysat your grand dog recently?
I have not babysat my grand dog, although Jeff and I took her to the park the other day. She was so excited. So it was a really good little visit. We had such, I mean, when he was in California, I had her 24/7. And she and I explored all kinds of paths around town and in the, in different parks and so forth. And now every time I go, I think about where she used to sniff, what she used to like to do, how I'd
Yeah,
somehow convince her that it was time to go home, that kind
yeah,
of thing. But
yeah.
it was just a great experience. And every time I see her, I know I can tell when I look in her eyes, she's thinking, "Boy, we had some good times together," because we did.
Yeah.
It was a good
Oh
thing.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And she would my bedroom, my bedroom is at the one end of the house on the second floor, and she would sleep in the bed on the other end of the house, but I would just lean over and be able to see her all sprawled out on the bed, either that or this way, looking at me, waiting for me to wake up. And as soon as she saw my head, it was like, "Oh, okay, that's it." And she'd come running in, and
Well,
she's just the best, smartest dog. I just love her.
I
Yeah.
finished my supply of coffee last week before going to Pennsylvania.
Oh,
And I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'll stop at a Dunkin' Donuts on the way home from the airport and
yep.
get coffee for today. And I forgot.
Uh-oh.
And as I think I texted you, I stopped at a McDonald's instead and got a
Yep.
very fast, crappy meal. So this morning I wake up, try to make coffee, and I realize I have none. I'm like,
Oh.
oh.
Oh. Oh, no.
So I'm thinking, okay, clearly I'm going to Dunkin' now.
Uh-huh.
Do I go and come back and not take the kids
Uh-huh.
and let them see that I've been to Dunkin' without them?
They're not happy.
Or do I, get them out of bed and say,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah. What did you decide?
that's what we did. All I have to do, and we have to spell it because if they're sitting right here. So if I say it,
I understand.
RIDES
Okay.
space IN space CAR. Okay, they can't spell.
Oh, good.
They're still in. And all I got to do is say that, and Matrix is up and out of bed.
Yep.
He loves to do that. And I think he knows that when we say that earlier in the morning, we're going to the coffee place of choice, where we can get donuts and donut holes and these things called pup cups. It's what they do is they give you a free small cup, paper cup, with whipped cream in it. And they just love, they being the employees of Dunkin', love when I pull up to the drive-thru, having already placed my order through the app. And they see them in the back, and they kind of already know, but I ask, can I have 2 pup cups? And they're like, oh, sure, absolutely. And the girl today, when she saw Matrix in the back window, the window's down, his head's out the window.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And she kind of shied away a little bit. Like, oh, no, he's friendly. He knows why we're here. And I had munchkins, an order of munchkins for them. They'll get part of my sandwich, whole 9 yards. And I asked her, I said, can I have 2 pup cups? And Shady was in the back too. So when she goes to hand them to me, she's now very comfortable with them. I said, you want to feed him one? And she says, oh, yeah. And so she takes the one and gives it to Matrix in the back. And I've got the other one in the front seat, and I'm putting it to the middle for Shady. She's trying to get Matrix's.
Yeah.
So eventually I just take that from the girl in the window because it's 8:30, 9 o'clock. There's a line behind me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to piss them off.
Yeah.
And so I take that, and it's about 3/4 of the way gone. And now I go, hold on, guys. And we pull out to let, other people start coming through again. And we park underneath this tree that's in the front of the building. So we get some sun and, we take our time. And we barely, and their tongues go flapping and whipped cream goes all over the front seat. But I saw my brake. The lights were in sync. There was nothing coming southbound on 19.
Okay. Gotcha.
And the Dunkin' Donuts is right at the left turn lane where I do a U-turn to head home. If I can't get over in time, I got to go all the way down to the light and do the U-turn down there.
Gotcha.
So I saw my brake. There was nothing coming south. I'm like, we got to go. Take the cups back. I'm holding 2 pup cups in one hand and trying to drive in the other. And I come whipping out of the parking lot right on the 19, crossing 3 lanes directly. And to the northbound side we go. And I'm like, hold on, guys. And Shady's in the front seat. We had a comment from about 10 minutes ago.
Oh.
Neil Thompson says, leave it to the U.S. government and taxpayers to wait on and rely on paper checks. That might be with something with my check that I'm waiting for.
Yeah.
When I saw the mailman go by.
Yeah.
See, this is my point about what I've been bitching about all day. People have a thought; it's theirs, so he understands. Neil understands what he's saying here because he wrote it. I have no idea what he's saying. I have no clue. I think he's talking about the check that I'm still waiting for from whatever, from the insurance company and from FEMA that I'd already been declined for. I got to apply, or I got to appeal rather.
You've been
And that's
declined by your insurance company?
I've
Excuse me.
been declined by FEMA for assistance, mostly because they can't read some of the paperwork I had to send them, which I shouldn't have had to send in the first place. I've been with FEMA through Secret Service in the Department of Homeland Security since the Department of Homeland Security was created.
Mm-hmm.
I go online to apply for assistance. They have no idea who I am. Meanwhile, I'm in this house for 3 years. About, what is it now? 3 years and 2 weeks. I've been with the phone number that I used for 25 years.
Wow.
I've had that phone number since before I got into the Secret Service, or maybe right as I got to the Secret Service, not sure, but for a long time. My Social Security number I've had for 53 years. They have no idea who I am.
Wow.
Zach is living in my house for less than 2, has now, because of Helene, moved out, applies on a whim, gets $750 the next day.
Wow.
The next week gets $4,100. The kid's got almost $4,900 in 2 weeks. For what? For a bedroom that wasn't his in the first place?
Mm.
And I'm glad because he put it all into his car, and his
Mhm.
car's running much better now. That's money I would have never had to come up with and wouldn't have been able to.
Mm-hmm.
But, I'm hacking because there's probably mold here somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at a standstill because I got no money to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have more bills to pay. Another mortgage payment. All kinds of things I can do on my own, but can't do anything else.
Hmm.
And yet FEMA has no idea who I am.
Wow. Well, like Neil
Uh,
said, leave it to the government, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't miss it. I don't miss it. Any of it.
No.
I don't miss looking cool on part of a security detail. I don't miss getting up in the middle of the night for a ringing phone. I don't miss any of it. It's so funny. All the things that attracted me to that job
Mm-hmm.
25 years ago, when I first applied, were all the things I dreaded towards the end of my career.
I'm sure. Yeah.
And I'm like, didn't I want to go traveling? And that's the one thing I keep saying that I would do differently if I got to go somewhere else again. And that was actually be a tourist. Meaning that, I lived 11 and a half years in Washington, D.C. Been to the Smithsonian like twice.
Mm.
And not even to the whole thing. It's a town.
Mm-hmm.
Really, it's a small town.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
And San Francisco. Wine, I did pretty good in the wine country. I did really good in the wine country. But
Yeah.
there's other things I would love to see there. L.A., Philadelphia. And stops, for work. Instead of just, sleep and get ready and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't miss it. And I think part of it is there's no deep state. The real rulers of the country don't meet in a cigar-filled, wood-paneled room with leather chairs. I mean, different party factions do that, but there's more to that than running the entire government.
Mm-hmm.
But there's certain aspects, there are certain sides of me that want to see some of what the Department of government efficiency Doge is going to do.
Yeah.
I think too many good people are likely going to get fired in the process,
Mhm.
that they're going to find out the hard way they need. The best lesson that I learned at umpire school wasn't about fair foul, safe out, ball strike. The best lesson that I learned there, a little learning is a dangerous thing.
Mm.
You learn a little bit and you think you know a lot. That right now is Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy.
Mhm.
They've learned a little bit about federal government and they fancy themselves experts.
Mhm.
They're going to be able to fix the whole thing. And unfortunately, they're probably going to wind up screwing it up worse. Because as inefficient as parts of our government are, there's also a reason for it. There's a lot of red tape that could be done away with. There's a lot of things that could be done better. Like, what is the algorithm that says yes or no to my application
Mhm.
to
For
FEMA assistance?
right. Indeed.
But yeah, I'm kind of rambling today. I am a little bitchy today.
Well, let's consider your morning. I mean, you had
Yeah.
a challenging morning
Well, that was
handling
actually fun.
pup cups.
Yeah, I like taking them for that, and they love it. You know, and then we come home and, of course, I don't get to share their munchkins. That's for them,
Mhm.
but they get to share my sandwiches.
Well, you've had a challenging morning.
Yeah,
I had a busy and productive one. So,
yeah.
but in my pajamas, and so it all works.
I'm
In
kind of sort
fact,
of still.
in fact, that's I wrote since I saw you. Leslie and I had a meeting about what we were doing for Thanksgiving and organizing the articles that have been submitted as part of that project. And
When do you need mine? When do you want to publish, and when do you need mine?
next week, but as soon as
Okay.
you send it, we'll get it drafted and find any images that might attend it. But I volunteered to talk about my family's, or actually mostly my Thanksgiving tradition, which was to binge watch videos beginning Wednesday before the holiday. And I'd go to what was then West Coast Video, and some of my favorite
Well,
students used to work there, and so they would make sure some of the newest releases. If I got there right away on Wednesday afternoon, they would make sure what the newest releases were available to me. Plus, because they knew me and knew what I often checked out, they knew which ones to recommend when I got in there. And I'd go home on Wednesday, the night before Thanksgiving, with an armload of videos to take me through Wednesday and all of Thursday. And
wow.
I would spend just hour upon hour watching all these videos. Paul and I would. And we'd take a break,
See now,
mid-afternoon on Thursday to travel to my brother's house to make the potato filling, because that was the only assignment we had, to bring potato filling to the table. And so we'd take a break, get dressed, make potato filling, get in the car, go eat turkey, and come home and start again with the videos. And then I'd get up Friday morning, go to the video store again, grab a whole other armful, and I was in my pajamas watching videos and eating leftover turkey and stuffing and pumpkin pie for the rest of the weekend. By the time, and you remember that in Pennsylvania, after the Monday after Thanksgiving, we'd have off because it was the first day of hunting season.
right,
Okay.
right,
And
yeah.
so, I mean, think about it, from Wednesday night to Tuesday, well, that Wednesday night, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, for the most part, in my pajamas watching videos. By the time I went back to school, my brain was mush.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was
Well, what do you use
mush.
now? Do you have like Apple or Netflix or anything like that?
Yeah. Yeah, we have all those kinds of things. And obviously, because I'm not in the workforce right now, or at least teaching, I
Yeah.
don't have that desperate need not to connect with people, but just to stay in my pajamas all day. But it was fun. That was our Thanksgiving tradition. So my essay for Thanksgiving will appear after Thanksgiving to just share with people what my Thanksgiving tradition was all about. Mine will
Do
publish
you
on Friday.
still do that to some level then?
Oh yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah. My people know that, after 5 o'clock in the afternoon, don't bother me. I'm at home, and as soon as I can, I get in my pajamas and watch TV or read or play on the computer. I do a lot of computer work right now, what with Be Inspired and the
Right.
Boyertown Area Expression. But yeah, so anyway, that's my Thanksgiving story. So I thought I'd share it with you today.
Yeah. The closest thing, and I don't know why I came home this past weekend, because it's our year. Ours is we switch Christmas and Thanksgiving because our family's all spread out. And even before it was spread out, mom's side was in the greater Boyertown area. Dad's side was in the greater Boyertown area.
Mm-hmm.
We would switch, going to the Bernhards one year and the Yergers the next for
Mm-hmm.
Thanksgiving, and then for Christmas the other way, and so on and so forth. Now we do that within the Yerger family,
Ah.
and my brothers and I are home for Christmas one year, and then with the spouse's Christmas or family for Christmas the next year.
Okay.
And this year it's our turn to be home for Christmas, which means we're with the spouses for Thanksgiving.
Ah.
Well, my niece got something about. My niece works for the Army. She is the lead recruiter for Army football.
Whoa.
And something about, what's ever going on with the Army Navy game this year. And can we do Thanksgiving early? Well, why do we care? It's not our year to be together for Thanksgiving anyway. So now all of a sudden I'm coming home for Thanksgiving and Christmas, and I'm coming home early. Like, it's not for Thanksgiving. It's 2 weeks before Thanksgiving. And I got those marching orders 3 weeks before Thanksgiving. I only got that, I forget, it was either last Sunday or last Monday. I think it was before that, because I told you when we were together last Monday
Mm-hmm.
that I'm coming home this weekend.
Yeah. That was cool. That was a nice surprise.
And
How did it go?
it was fun. Everything was fine.
Everything was good? That's good.
We didn't talk about politics, of course,
Right.
but instead we argued about my house, which is pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
My dad and brother, both my brothers, can't seem to understand that I'm okay living in the house partially or even majorly incomplete. My one brother's concern is if the bank turns around and says, hey, we lended you money for that 1-story house that has 3 beds and 2 baths. Now you built on top of that, making the ground floor uninsurable. Excuse me. And now you only have 1 bed and 1 bath on the second floor because you're waiting around for more money. Where's our house at? You've got 90 days to fix it, or we're going to call in the loan. I get that. So I've called them already earlier on, and they said they don't care. That as long as the insurance company is okay with it, I can do whatever I want. Well, my brother and my dad are saying, yeah, that's probably not how it's going to be. So I'm going to call them again, the division that handles insurance claims and whatever. And I'm going to tell them, I'm saying, look, you could have been doing this with me last year had Adalia been a little bit bitchier than she was. That flood came up to my front and back door and came through the wall a little bit in corners of my house. Helene was 2 or 3 feet higher, was at least 3 feet higher. Do you want to do this again next year or not? I've got neighbors that were back in their house for all of 3 months before they did this all over again.
Wow.
From Helene, or from Adalia to Helene. 2023 to 2024 seasons. They were out for the past 9 months. When the beginning of the summer came along and the new hurricane season came along, and they get hit all over again. So I'm going to say, do you want to see me again next year? Or do you want to maybe never hear from me again, with the exception of a monthly payment?
We're going
And
to
so,
be, we, I would hope common sense rules. How's that?
yeah. Well, so far it has. It's just that I'm not getting any of the checks. We just lost 99.1. We'll see them again tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
my alarm is about ready to go off. I
I
have
was
to
going
go
to say,
rescue my cakes. So
that's my project for the rest of the day, is to call the bank, call the insurance company,
okay.
ask a bunch of questions, say, WTF, where's my check? And call the bank and say, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
You know, can I build up? It's not going to take as fast as what it would take to do just the bottom,
Yeah.
but you'll never see me again. That sounds
Here's
like
my
you.
timer.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta run.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm hearing it in here. I'm looking for my phone. All right. Get
right.
going. I'll see you again next week.
All right. You take care now. Next
All right.
week. Next week is the end of the month. I won't see you.
Okay. So is in the first hour then, or not at all? What do you think?
The first
it's gonna
hour.
be?
Yes, I can do the first hour. Okay.
Okay.
I'll talk to you
for
next
the
week.
30 minutes that
All
we
right.
did. All right.
Bye-bye.
Awesome. See you again.
Okay.
Jane Stahl, everybody. Both sides now. Yeah. Go ahead. Do your thing.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right. Well, she's Jane Stahl, and I'm Yergs, and this was Both Sides Now and Up the Middle. It's 1:00. Like I said, I've got stuff to do. I've got to get on the phone with FEMA. I've got to get on the phone with my insurance company, and then on the phone with the bank, and that's going to be my afternoon. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to me rant. You're always welcome to message. You're always welcome to call. Until then, you're also welcome to check in on us. Where's she at? I got her information here too somewhere. Maybe it's like with the other. But let's see. Is she on that one? Yeah, there we go. You can reach Jane Stahl in Studio B by going to studiobbb3bs.org and contacting her that way. You can reach all of us here at Yergs Radio and Up the Middle and anything at Mastiff Media by writing to news, NEWZ, at yergz.com. You can get our show notes and any other information by going to yergs.com or mastiff.media. That's it, gang. Thanks for joining. Thanks for listening. Thanks for going with us up the middle. You've been running with the big dogs. We'll see you again tomorrow.
listens for 18 minutes. The average
Yergs.
fan listens for, are you ready for this? An hour and 20 minutes.
How can that be?
Answer most commonly given. I want to see what he'll say next.
All right, okay, fine. But what about the people who hate?
Yergs.
Good point. The average skater listens for 2.5 hours a day.
Look, but if they hate him, why do they listen?
Most common answer. I want to see what he'll say next.
You've changed. You know that?
Yes, I suppose I have. How about this? Peace, love, dope.